How is it that we can bring a change inside of ourselves? You know, the real battle all of us has is against our own self. Your worst enemy is like your best friend, is yourself. No one else. No one knows you better than yourself. You know, if there's one person that knows all of your flaws, all of your weaknesses, all of the things you could be doing better, all the times you waste, all the things you shouldn't be involved in but you are anyway, all the bad habits you have, the ones that are known to others and the ones that are not known to others. If there's someone who knows that really, really, really well, it's you. It's you. And you have to learn, and I have to learn to be hard on myself. We have to learn to constantly be hard on our own selves. To constantly look in the mirror. You know, psychologically speaking, people present a picture of themselves to the outside world. But then people see you, because they've always seen you in a certain light, they see that's all this person is going to be. Right? On some people, it puts a pressure on them to act a certain way in front of others. To look a certain way, act a certain way. And that might be you. You're so used to impressing people with how, whatever, religious you are, knowledgeable you are, committed you are, etc., etc. And you're constantly putting up this face that you start convincing yourself that's who you really are. We have to be able to be honest to ourselves if we're going to talk about change. One has to be able to stop complaining about the world and start complaining about themselves. What is wrong? What am I doing wrong? What are my shortcomings? What are the things that I look at myself and I say, if there were 4 or 5 things I could change about myself, if I could just do 4 or 5 things differently, what would they be? What would those things be that I wish I changed? What are some things I wanted to accomplish last year and I never got to? I wanted to study something. I want to finish reading that book. I never got around to it. But I really wanted to do it. What is keeping us from making those changes? That's the real bit of advice that at least I'll share with you what I do for myself. It works sometimes, it doesn't work other times. But I'm hoping, inshallah, you'll be better at it than I am, and we're all going to be making changes for the better in our own lives. What I do for myself is basically ask myself a very simple question. I have 2 kinds of days. I have days where I'm home and days that I'm traveling. And in each of those 2 kinds of days, there are some things I could do better. There's some way I could use my time better. I could be more productive in some things. How do I make more use of that day? How do I make it more productive? That one day. You can fix one day, you've fixed your whole life. If you made one change to today, that means you've made that change for the rest of your life. For you, many of you, it's like weekdays and weekends. Your weekends are the same way every time. Your weekdays are the same way every time, right? Fix your weekdays. Discipline your life. Make that change in your life. You know what else people fail to do? Is to maintain balance in your life. To maintain balance. Because we're pulled in many different directions. And it's really important that we maintain a balance between all of these different poles. And a lot of times, we fail to do it. And when we do, we end up wronging one thing or another. This is the biggest change you can bring in your life to create balance. Right? We have to really assess honestly in our lives, what changes do we have to make? And really changes to me is what you give time to. I mean, the real asset all of us have is time. That's really all we have. And if we're utilizing it properly, our lives have moved towards the better. And if we're not, our lives are moving towards the worse. Allah tells us the sun and the moon, they follow an order. All of the acts of worship that we do in Islam somehow fall upon the sun and the moon. The prayers dependent on the positions of the sun. Eid and Ramadan and Hajj on the moon. And Allah tells us the sun and the moon follow a precise order. Our worship follows a precise order. What we're learning from that is your entire life should follow a precise order. Otherwise you'll keep thinking, I should get that done, and you'll never get it done, because it never made time for it. We're just the people, once we start playing a video game, we lose all track of time. But once you hit the PS3 or Xbox controller, and you start sniping people off the rooftops, right? That's it. Regimes could change. The world could change. The stock market could crash. You wouldn't know, you're in your room going, that's who you are. We have to show respect to time. That's the real change we bring in our lives. Stop complaining about stuff. All of that will happen when you personally bring a positive change in your life.